can take any. So like before starting, I'll tell you one more concept. Why Spring Boot is very much popular nowadays. It's because it will provide a feature of auto configuration. Okay, so auto configuration and this annotation based stuff. So anything in Spring Boot, there are so many things that you can do with the annotation itself. Like suppose if you want to create, suppose it's my DTO, okay, and you these are like ID, URL, name. So how traditionally we used to do the getters and setters, like suppose if you want to set the ID, get the IDs, all these things. So we used to write specifically methods, or there was some option in the ideate level as well. Like if you go to this generate, it will go and create getters and setters, right? The logger, constructor, all these things you want to generate. But you don't need all these things. You can simply add at the rate data annotation, and it will generate all the getters and setters for you automatically. You can just annotate with this class with all our construction, no arguments constructor. It will simply do the stuff for you. No need to do anything, right? So like it help you a lot in removing the boilerplate code and getting a very clean code. Okay. So there are a lot of annotation in the Spring Boot. Like this is one example at the rate data, all our construction more. First thing, I hope you all understand what constructor is, right? It's basic Java. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Okay. So yeah. Um, okay, so this is what I was talking about. These are like the annotation, and the other thing was auto configuration. So, how auto configuration help is, suppose there is like a dependency. I'll draw this diagram as well. Let's just not go there. So, suppose there is a dependency from A to B and B to C. Okay, so what auto configuration will help you is, you just need to write the code. Okay, my A is dependent on B is dependent on C. So automatically Spring will handle, when A is initiated it will add B to the A class, and when B is initiated it will add C to the B's class. Okay, so all this configuration wherever it is needed, take any example. Before starting a car you need to plug in the key, right? And before plugging the key you need to enter the car. So all these things, like whatever the step needed for to process that part, Spring will handle it and it will add it that time only. That process we called as lazy initialization. Okay, so it helps you a lot in, while building less latent application, right? To manage the latency as well, and the size of the application as well. So I mean that concept is called auto configuration. Okay, now we can talk about the structure. So okay, before going to the structure, like we yesterday we were discussing about the URL part. Okay, so how URL is formed. So this local host is like basically the IP of your server. Since I'm starting my server on my system only, it's this local host. The by default IP is 127.0.0.1, right? Then this port comes in, and then the next part is URI. Okay, how you want this API to be called, because every API has some address to it. Okay, so how a URI is created? This is called URI, and the complete is called URL. So if I go to the controller layer, controller is like the entry point to any API. Okay, in the Spring Boot. So suppose I have a API. This is like my base URL, or not the base URL, base URI. Like all my API will start with this art gallery only. Okay, like this is my base URL, localhost colon 8080, then slash. Sorry, let me give you the same example here. Okay, localhost colon 8080, then art gallery. Every API will start from this one, and then the main API address. Okay, so suppose this is like your what you say, colony or your society address, and this is like the flat number. This is the particular flat number. Okay, so suppose I have two API, this like slash tattoo slash get all tattoos. This is one API. Then slash tattoo slash search tattoos. This is like a second API. So this is how the URL is being formed. Okay, so now if I go to controller layer, see, so I again, everything in the Spring Boot will depend on the annotation. So like my controller, I need to define this class is a controller layer. Okay, so how I will define, or how Spring will know, okay, this is a controller layer. I need to annotate it with like at the rate rest controller. Okay, then this request mapping, it's not mandatory, but it is recommended. Okay, so like we should be knowing, okay, if this is a one controller layer that start with this one, maybe if you are working with the very big projects, so there can be different controller layer with the different addresses as well. So it's like in the same society you have multiple towers, right? And then each tower has some same flat one and one. Each tower has flat one, each tower has flat two. So if you want to divide it that way, there it will help you to map the different request. Okay, so yeah, that's how it is. That's why it's recommended to add the request mapping. Then suppose it's a get API, I need to annotate it with the get mapping, post mapping, or whatever API I'm developing, right? So suppose I'm building a get API. So this is how my function started, with annotation get mapping, and I need to provide the path is nothing, just an address to my API. Like the get all tattoos is one API, so this is my path. And the other parameter which I'm passing is the produces. It basically tells Spring whatever data I'm sending in the response, it should be in a JSON format. I can change it to any format like the text as well, or maybe the HTML. There are so many media type available. Whatever you want, you can change it, or sometime maybe you may need the PDF or something as well. Like if you want to click a button and file gets downloaded, then this is the media type you need to change. Um, Guys, any doubt, or should I continue?
Yeah, in media type, we have taken JSON values right here.
Yes.
If we need to, I mean, you have said there is a text also, uh,
Yeah,
text
anything
format.
you can do. So
Yeah,
suppose if I'll change it to, if I'll put dot, it will give me all the option. Like suppose URL encoded you want, GraphQL response you need, or you want data to be in application.pdf format, right? I mean, you must have seen some API where you click on the button and you'll get a PDF downloaded, right?
yeah.
Or the XML. I mean, there are so many formats that you can choose from.
I mean, based on I mean, based on requirement, we can choose our type, right?
Right, right. Similarly, there is a way to add consumes also, but by default we don't need consumes here, because we know we are using the JSON only, and anyway it's a get API, so consumes won't be required. When we will be doing some example for the post API, then consumes will also comes into picture, like how what data we are consuming. Okay, like similar to the upload button or anything. Usually it's a JSON data only. In the API, we will not go to some file upload or something because it's a different process altogether. But usually in API, it's like a media type application JSON only. A RESTful API I'm talking about.
It means additional data we have to add when we post type like at the rate post mapping
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Sorry, come again.
You are telling that we have to use more consumers here in path comma methods like
No, no,
extra
no.
data we have to give.
No, no, no. So, okay, I'm talking about the basic API. So, in API there are different formats like the get API, the post API, the put, patch, delete. These are the main one. Heads and options are like very limited one, but these first are very popular one. So, I'll give you a very standard example. Suppose you want to create a user. Okay, it's like a first time you are creating some user in your database. So what you will use? You will use post API. Okay, to post the data into your backend application, and then backend application will eventually feed the data to your database, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now the next part is if you want to get the data, as the name suggests, get the data. So you will use get API. So get API is mostly used to fetch out the data, whatever is available in my application or in my database, or my backend is doing some computation, will use mostly get API, right? Then,
Okay, like sign in or login.
right, exactly correct. Then put and patch, they are almost same. What put and patch do? Suppose you want to edit something, right, in the existing record, you want to patch a existing record, so then in that case we use put and patch API. I mean, usually people use put and patch very less, to be honest. They usually go with post APIs only. But yeah, that's the recommended way. If you want to put into the existing record, you want to add into the existing record, or if you want to modify the existing record, then people use put and patch. And suppose if you want to delete entirely your profile, then people use delete, also delete APIs. But again, people more, I mean, on industry wide, people usually use post APIs itself. They do computation behind the scene. Like even if they want to delete the user, they get the data in the post API itself and use the same to delete the user behind the scene. But these are the recommended ways. These are the recommended, I would say, API methods.
What is the most difference between put and patch? Can I know? Most difference between put and patch. I
So,
mean, it's like
Mhm.
I thinking that like that if there is a profile and we are signing in with get I mean get with we are signing in after login we need to edit my profile and
Mhm.
in that case I will use put or patch.
Edit, we usually use patch,
At that time I have to use patch.
right? And if you want to
Then
add, suppose, okay, I'll take you a different way. Suppose you have a profile. Four fields are mandatory, two fields are non-mandatory. Okay. Four field you add it in the beginning when you were creating your profile. Okay. Then if you want to add two more fields to your database or to your profile, which were non-mandatory, but eventually you thought of adding that, so you're adding that data to the existing one. So usually then you use put API. Okay. But suppose you already added your address, you want to change your address, that's a patch one. You want to change the existing thing, your database.
Okay. I mean, if we add an extra address, we use we have to edit our address. We use patch.
Huh, that's good. But again, I'm telling people mostly use post APIs only. There is no difference as such. It's just the way, I mean, it's what you call a protocol that is being defined. Okay. There is no difference when we send data. Suppose, like, I'll send some data like this. Okay.
So Kiran, just a simple thing. You use get or post only those. Forget about
Huh.
put, patch, delete, all these operations. Okay, just simply use get calls for getting it and post calls for all other any of the modifications.
Yeah, but in most of the cases, I mean,
No, you
in
don't
most of
have to.
the
You don't
episodes,
have to
we
use
have.
post. I'm telling use post simply. Hmm?
Okay.
That's what I was telling. Mostly
Hmm.
people use post only, but it's like a protocol only. So if you come there, so I thought of okay. So we were on the tattoos only. So when we annotated any class with the REST controller or the request mapping, uh, it's Spring will know it's a controller layer. Okay, then you add your path detail where the like the address to your API, then the this detail the produces or consumes whatever the data you want to produce or consume. Okay, now the next part is how you will call your next the service layer. Okay, so again we created our service layer and added the annotation auto-where, and that's what I was telling about the auto configuration. So now this API controller need my service layer. So Spring automatically will add this service layer object here, and I just need to use it. Okay, hey service, just fetch all the tattoos and get me the tattoos so that I'll return the response. So I mean, this is how the auto configuration work here. AutoWire will automatically add my service layer object here, and I'll simply call my service layer method. Like I created my service layer here. Again, uh, how the Spring will know my service layer? This is my service layer. I need to annotate my class with @service only. Then only my Spring will know. Okay, this is my service layer and these are the standard method I created here. Again, if I need to call my another object or another utility which I created like tattoo repository, I auto add it again, which means the same example I told you, A to B to C. Now my, if you see, this is my C and this is B. B needs C, so Spring will automatically add this C here in the B class. And when A is needing B, which is the my controller layer, Spring will automatically add B's dependency here. So I hope it is not confusing you a lot,
Yeah, in simple terms, it's just nothing but creating object. You can think it that way.
right?
Like you'll usually create some class some name equal to new some class, right? You will always create that and you will update everything, right? So you don't have to deal with that. The Spring Boot will take care with the autopilot.
Guys, any doubt till this point, like how to create controller or like how to reach the service layer?
Hey, Chirag, before we jump in,
Mhm.
guys, did you install the IntelliJ and Oracle, the Java? Is
I was
everybody did that? Huh?
I was also asking the same question. I think only Kiran replied like he did it. He started the application.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay, then from tomorrow, so you get it. All these things, right? You get it ready with your system. I'll ask couple of people to show and present to me, like what you did. Right? Maybe I'll randomly pick some people and we'll ask you guys. Right? So it's not just like we're just simply speaking and there is no output. Right? It shouldn't be like that. It should be two way. So let's do that way. So I think at least today you start installing it, and try explore. Go to that Spring Initializer. Explore the POM file, and what are the dependencies. I mean, why they were calling or getting called as the dependencies. Just explore them, and tomorrow, I'll ask you guys to explain me what it is. How you will develop, right? At least till the point what we have covered. Yeah, Chirag, continue.
Okay, because I also feel the same. If you won't even try that way, it won't help you. This entire session will be like a waste. Uh,
Yeah.
because I definitely know there'll be a lot of problem when you start the Spring application for the first time, and that's why we stated this one key try with adding dependency of the SQL one and removing the SQL ones, because there is a lot of difference you will see in the logs when you
Yeah.
start the application. So yeah, once you add this dependency, the REST controller, the REST mapping, the get mapping, so Spring will know this is your controller layer and like starting point of your APIs. Okay. Now from the controller, we usually call our service layer, which is here. Okay. Again, you need to annotate your class with the @service annotation, and then you will get the details. So similar way, now repository we usually create for the database accesses. But before moving to database repository and all, let me tell you. Okay, so now your doubts comes in, Kiran. So if you add this SQL dependency, SQL connector, the JPA one, but it won't start your application because Spring will need all this detail ki which database it should connect to, right? Yesterday, someone was asking how Spring will connect my database, the JDBC thing, and all this thing. So it's very simple. You just need to add the dependency, the MySQL connector, and Spring will automatically start looking for, okay, give me the detail which database I should connect to. I added my connector, which database should I connect to? So all this detail you provide in the resource. Sorry.
The signal was breaking. Can you tell me once again? Sorry.
Okay, okay. So I was telling, if you start your application with the connector, MySQL connector, okay, it won't start. Why it won't start? Because if you added the connector dependency, okay, Spring will know, okay, now your system needs some database to be connected. Like in this case, MySQL, because we added MySQL connector, right? So how the system will know, how my application will know which database I should be connecting to, right? Because you added the connector. Now it needs the detail of your database. So all this detail we add in the application.yaml. This is like a configuration file for your application. Okay. Anything related to your application you want to configure, you want to customize, or you want to uh, maybe in most of the sense we call it configuration only and the customization. Any kind of configuration and customization, you keep it here only, the application YAML. Okay, I mean people usually add application.property as well. It's the same thing. Don't get confused. Application YAML and application.property, these are the same thing. So now I need to provide my Spring the data source. Okay, because Spring needs some data source to connect to. So I need to add my URL, the JDBC, username and password to every database, and the driver which I'm using. Okay, so it's a simple MySQL JDBC driver. I mean, I think that's answered the question somebody was asking yesterday. Do we need to install driver and everything? No need to install any driver and anything. You just need to add the configuration. That's all. I think this is the correct way to start with. You can just simply go to MySQL, go to Google and type MySQL download. There you will simply get a link, get the download. It will automatically download MySQL in your system. and this MySQL Workbench 2. Okay, it's like a step by step process. It will direct you to create the database and everything. So once this is done, you will get some MySQL Workbench like this, where you can write queries and all. That's it's a different part, but basic SQL you can set up, and you can add the configuration. Like this is also my local host. Any service that I started on my local, it's like a local host only. So it's like same URL that we created for API. Anything guys? Any doubt for this one? How SQL is being connected with this one or configuration?
So for you guys, one more thing tomorrow, IntelliJ, Java, and MySQL also. So install these three, and get your system ready so that you start showing it to us, and you start developing it. Like we'll see how far, or how good you understood so far, so we can go that way. So tomorrow is like mostly just to understand you know whatever we have taught so far, right? Let's just see, just try to make use of these guys, because we are investing too much time apart from our work, right? So just make use of it properly. And yeah, I think we'll see tomorrow, you know on the practical stuff, right?
And I think Gopal, the strength is also very less. Yesterday it was like around 25-30 people. Today it was
Hmm.
10 people only.
Yeah, let me talk to Bhavani. uh, yeah. So, any other things, guys, from your end? Any clarification which you want, or
Yeah, I have a question. For the DB, can you use of the
Sorry,
MongoDB?
Anup, your
no, no? Could
yes,
you speak it up?
yes.
Yeah,
It's very low.
yeah, Chirag, can you hear me now?
No, not even. Just can you a bit louder, more?
Yeah, Gopa, can you hear me now?
Yeah. It is at least better.
Uh, yeah, actually the thing, you can use the MongoDB because it's with the scripting layer instead of getting into MySQL because these people,
No, Andrew, I think you are too loud, man. Just be a bit louder, or just be near to your microphone. I couldn't hear you.
yeah, is it audible now?
Yeah, yeah.
Still low, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, actually instead of getting in the MySQL, we can go with the MongoDB where we can been working on the JSON,
Mm-hmm.
and the scripting will be somewhat better for the understanding. Actually, where in the front end, our team will work on the somewhere on the JSON layer, where on the JSON and the React. So it should be somewhat betterment. We use of the NoSQL instead of SQL.
Hmm. No, yeah, you can use anything, right? You can use any NoSQL or SQL, it doesn't matter. But what matters is, I think, for the applications, right? What you are doing, these backend applications, because I have seen those also, right? So for those, MySQL would be the suitable one, because there is no, unstructured data, or where you have to store, different kind of data, because it's all simple formatted data what you have to store. So the MySQL would be good here. So we can go with the MySQL one. You can choose anything, but but you have to choose it wisely. Otherwise, what will happen is it becomes unnecessarily complicated. Because instead of choosing the SQL place, if you have choose the NoSQL, right? NoSQL also, there are a lot of like key value, document, multiple stores were there, right?
Yeah.
So if you choose a wrong step over there, it would make your life tough in terms of developing that.
Okay.
Yeah, for most
Thanks for
of,
understanding.
or for all of these applications, right? Whatever you have, MySQL would be suitable. That's enough.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
sure.
from perspective, it's just a connector only. Like we added the SQL connector, you can add any connector, any database connector.
Correct. So any other things?
Yeah, Can you show me? I mean, how can I get the configuration details of MySQL? Can I get it once again?
Yeah, those
Uh,
details you won't get it like that. What you have to do is first download that MySQL, from the internet. Just install it. Install it. So you will get options to install even the workbench and all these things. At that point, you will get to know the details of the database. So those details you have to paste in the that application.yaml or application.properties.
Thank you.
You will get those once you install it. Just after this call, what you do is install that IntelliJ Java and this one MySQL also. Then you will have those details so that we can add them. It would be good if you guys can start today and make it like you just do something, and by tomorrow if you can get your IntelliJ at least with all these pieces, then maybe we can take it forward from there, so that I'll also get some good confidence that you guys are keen to learning, right? Just explore it. And even there are a lot of things, right? A lot of things you have to explore, like Chirag used several terminology, right? Like auto configuration, auto wired, and data source, different things, right? Just explore them in the internet. What do they mean, right? At least in the Spring Boot perspective, he has told. But in a general terminology, you can check like what are those, why they meant to be, what they were doing specifically in Spring Boot versus other places, right? Just keep explore.
Yeah, we will
Okay.
get into it.
So any other things? Let's meet tomorrow. I hope you will install these dependencies and get your system ready. Okay.
Hello. Yeah, Gopal.
Hmm.
I have installed the IntelliJ and I have run the application Spring Boot.
Hmm.
I mean, is it exact way or not? Can you see it? I will share my screen.
Yeah, share it. I mean, not just you, Kiran. I want your entire team to follow it, right?
I mean,
So
they
yeah.
will follow it exactly.
Mhm. No, not following. Following meaning I want all of you to implement it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Share your screen for now. You can take a look. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one I have.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the
Okay. Now,
application.
what's your doubt?
I mean, I mean, is this an Spring application or not? I mean, I'm
yeah,
just,
Yeah,
this is
this is
correct.
correct only.
yeah.
Only thing is just okay.
I have
Tomorrow
downloaded and
the Java and all will do tomorrow. Yeah, this is correct. This is what. And you have seen some structure also, right? There is some structure is also coming. Source main Java, some package and one starter file, and there is one properties file, and there is test file, and there is a pom.xml. So all these things, right?
yeah.
Did you search like what are these and why these all came?
Yeah, these are all the. I mean, like dependencies. I mean, is it correct? Is these are all the dependencies for an application like Node?
No, but
Yeah.
you developed Java applications, right? Or no, front end front end
I
you developed. Mhm.
front end I have, but I mean in front end in React I have used the
Hmm.
I'm in there also mods. I mean like inbuilt configurations.
Hmm.
Like that also I am thinking in that way. So
Hmm. Okay.
is it correct?
That's fine. So we'll get into it tomorrow. Tomorrow we can discuss it in depth. I think this is fine. I think you installed it properly. Only thing is, I think you need to map to Java. Java you have to map, and then we can add database connectivity so that you can start with the implementation.
Yeah, okay.
I
Yeah,
think Java
that's
also
fine.
the his application was starting, so maybe you can just add the MySQL, get ready with the MySQL. We'll discuss how it will connect.
Yeah.
And also I have another doubt. Sorry for
Hmm.
disturbing you. And when I install, did you ask me that when we start an Spring application, you said that you add dependencies and add without dependencies, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, when I start with without an dependency, it automatically starting the application.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not the
it's
application,
running the
right?
application. I
Uh,
mean, basic structure also running.
Correct, correct. So what Chirag was saying was just try to observe what was happening when you are adding a dependency versus there is no dependency. So what are the logs you are getting? Because that's a simple English, right? Crystal clear English will come over there. It'll tell you that okay, what all it was doing, right? As soon as you add certain dependency, then you will get to know what extra stuff it was doing. Because why he told you that is so that you will understand, because instead of making a simple database connection, right, database connection, how you will make in a general Java world, you have to first get the connection, and then set the pool or whatever, default pool, or after your transaction you have to close it, and one by one you have to process it, right? So there is a lot of stuff involved, right? But now it by defaults makes the connection and make it ready for you so that you can straight away use it. So those things you will be able to observe if you add and remove, and then see the logs, right? The console logs, then you will get to know. So it is thanks, man. At least it is good that you explored that. Hmm? Just try to observe today what will happen, like what are logs you're seeing, then compare it with the the old way of database connection, or maybe Tomcat starting. So all these things, just compare with that, then you
Yeah,
will
yeah.
understand the beauty of the Spring Boot.
Yeah, at the start, I have taken Java, I mean 23 version, and
Hmm.
my system was not supported, and I did various tough things, and
Hmm.
at the I take at least half an hour to make me for an,
Hmm.
I mean, like a simple that way,
Yeah, it is
because I
good.
didn't know.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, that's how only you can learn, right? Because when you're starting also, you will get a lot of issues, and you have to figure out one by one. That way you will learn actually. If you get issues, then you will learn more. So
Yeah,
let's see. I think we can do it tomorrow. Maybe we'll pick a couple of people from your team, so we'll start and see how you guys can do. Okay then.